There's another subject I'd like to cover because it's been right in front of us, and by now in a live class I've usually had this question by now. So let's take a look. We'll put our grid back in edit mode, and the question comes up pretty frequently and regularly and early. What are the differences between all these tabs that are at the top here? Well, the design tab we already know because we've been using that. The working preview tab is what we've been using so far. The working preview tab is an XBasic implementation or emulation of a web server, of the Alpha 5 web server. And you'll notice that so far we haven't had to turn the web server on. It's indicated up here with the red ball, the ball being red, and we'll get to that in a minute. We'll turn it on. But this has some pretty significant implications to have a working preview where you can have everything rendered and processed the way you would expect without the app server running. One of them is that you can put your web application components on a desktop environment. And this is very important for a lot of different reasons. There are some people who would like to take advantage of the great features that are available in the website tools. Of course, there are great desktop tools too, and we're not covering that in this series, in this total training series. But some people like the look and the feel of these and some of the things that they have available to them. And the additional thing is that some people may have some hybrid applications where they have both desktop users in a desktop environment and they're exposing some parts of their application to the web as well. It's known as a hybrid application. In which case you could just build your component once and then implement it both on the desktop as well as on the website. The opposite does not hold true. You cannot take a desktop form and expose it to web users, but you can take a web component and make it available both to web users and to the desktop users. The other very significant implication of this is that because this is the next basic implementation, you can use the debug facilities that Alpha has for its coding, which we won't get into very much, if at all, in this total training series. But by using working preview, you can take advantage of the opportunity to turn debug on any of the events that we have here, any of the server-side events, for instance, and then be able to work through exactly what's going on with debug, and that's very, very helpful at times. So let's try the live preview here, and we're going to get prompted to turn our web server on because it's not on yet. So I'll go ahead and say yes, and you can see there's a couple other options here. You may have another server instance running someplace, and that's what this option is for here. It might be in another. You can have Alpha 5 loaded running different databases, but the server, of course, uses just one port, so it'll only load once. So we'll just say yes. I'd like to start the server, and we can watch this turn green here as it starts up. And then we'll get our live preview in just a moment. And right now, because we haven't done anything out of the ordinary here, or anything fancy, it'll all look the same as the working preview. The live preview does manage a couple other advanced things a little bit better than working preview, simply because it is using some different facilities, but we won't worry too much about those right now. Now, the reality is that you may want to use live or working preview interchangeably, and you may want to just have that on all the time. So what I'll usually do is go ahead and have the application server start up as soon as the Alpha 5 starts up. We're going to get later on, we'll get into the configuration and a bit more deeper review of the application server setup. But let's close our editor and go make one little change in it right now in any case. So from the Web Projects control panel, we can go up to Web and Application Server, and this is where we configure the server. As I said, we'll look further into configuration later. But one of the things that I usually do when I start a new database or a new application is I automatically start the server here and save this. And of course, it says here you need to restart the server before that'll take effect. So we'll just restart the server here. And now whenever we start up this database, if the server is not already running, it'll be there available for us and running. And it just saves you a little bit of time and hassle. So you don't. It's just one less thing you have to worry about when you do that. So that takes care of that common question: what's the difference between all these tabs here? The Preview tab is sort of a holdover from the older initial versions of Alpha, and you can see that some of the stuff doesn't even function very well in there. So very few people really use the Preview tab. You want to stick mostly to the Live Preview and the Working Preview tabs, and you'll be able to get all the things done that you need. Okay, that takes care of that piece. Let's move on to the next.